If you're hearing this recording, I'm already dead. My name is Detective Sarah Chen, and 3 days ago, I thought I was investigating a simple missing person case. I was wrong. What I found in apartment 4B at 1247 Elm Street will haunt me forever. And now it's coming for you too. Static crackles through the recording. I'm leaving this message because someone needs to know the truth. Someone needs to warn others. The missing person? She's not missing. She never left that apartment. And neither will you if you're foolish enough to go looking for her. A door slams in the background of the recording. Oh God. It knows I'm here. It knows I found the truth. If you're listening to this, Detective Martinez, don't come looking for me. Burn this recording. Forget apartment 4B exists. Forget Jennifer Walsh ever lived there. Because she didn't just disappear. The recording cuts to static, then silence. Detective Maria Martinez stared at the digital audio file on her computer screen, her coffee growing cold as she listened to her partner's final recording for the third time. Sarah Chen had been missing for 48 hours, and this voice message was the only clue to her whereabouts. Maria had worked with Sarah for 5 years. She knew her partner's voice, her mannerisms, her fears. The woman on this recording sounded terrified, something Maria had never heard before, not even during their worst cases. The missing person case Sarah mentioned was straightforward enough. Jennifer Walsh, 28, a freelance graphic designer who lived alone in a converted warehouse apartment downtown. Her sister had filed the report when Jennifer missed their weekly dinner and stopped answering her phone. But when Sarah went to check Jennifer's apartment 3 days ago, she never came back. Maria grabbed her keys and headed for the door. Despite Sarah's warning in the recording, she had to investigate. Sarah was her partner, her friend. She wasn't going to abandon her based on some panicked message that could have a dozen explanations. 1247 Elm Street was a 4-story brick building in the Arts District, converted from an old textile factory. The kind of place young professionals flocked to for the industrial chic, aesthetic, and affordable rent. Maria badged the building manager and got access to the 4th floor. Apartment 4B was at the end of a long, dimly lit hallway. The door was slightly ajar. Maria drew her weapon and called out, "Police. Anyone inside?" Silence. She pushed the door open with her foot and stepped into Jennifer Walsh's apartment. The space was exactly what she'd expected: exposed brick walls, high ceilings, modern furniture arranged in an open floor plan. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, creating geometric patterns on the hardwood floors. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Maria had investigated enough crime scenes to know when something was wrong. And this apartment felt wrong despite its ordinary appearance. The air was too still, too quiet, like walking into a photograph instead of a living space. She noticed Jennifer's purse on the kitchen counter, her keys in a bowl by the door, her laptop open on the coffee table with a half-finished design project still on the screen. All signs pointed to someone who had stepped out briefly and planned to return. But Maria's trained eye caught the details that others might miss. A coffee mug on the counter with a ring of mold around the rim. Mail stacked by the door with postmarks going back 2 weeks. A plant in the window that was brown and brittle from neglect. Jennifer Walsh hadn't just stepped out. She'd been gone for at least 2 weeks, maybe longer. Maria photographed everything, documenting the scene as she moved deeper into the apartment. In the bedroom, she found clothes laid out on the bed as if Jennifer had been deciding what to wear. In the bathroom, a toothbrush sat in a cup next to an open tube of toothpaste. It was like Jennifer had simply vanished mid-routine. Then Maria found something that made her blood run cold: Sarah's badge and gun, sitting neatly on Jennifer's dining table. Maria radioed for backup, then began searching the apartment more systematically. Sarah's weapon was unloaded, her badge positioned perfectly in the center of the table like it had been placed there deliberately. Under the badge, Maria found a note written in Sarah's handwriting. She never left. She's still here. Look in the walls. Maria examined the exposed brick walls more carefully. Most were original to the building, but one section near the bedroom looked newer, the mortar between the bricks a slightly different color. She pressed against the wall and felt it give slightly, as if there was empty space behind it. Maria found a hammer in Jennifer's tool drawer and carefully chipped away at the mortar around one brick. It came loose easily, revealing a dark space beyond. She pulled out her flashlight and peered through the hole. What she saw made her stumble backward. Behind the false wall was a small chamber, just large enough for a person to stand in. The walls were covered in photographs, hundreds of them, all showing the same woman from different angles, in different locations, taken over what appeared to be months or even years. Jennifer Walsh. But these weren't selfies or professional photos. These were surveillance shots. Jennifer at work, at the grocery store, at the gym, sleeping in her bed. Someone had been stalking her extensively before she disappeared. At the bottom of the chamber, Maria saw clothing, personal items, and something that made her hands shake. Strands of dark hair that matched Jennifer's driver's license photo. Maria was about to call for a forensics team when she heard something that stopped her cold. Footsteps in the hallway outside the apartment. Slow, deliberate footsteps that stopped right outside the door. Maria drew her weapon and positioned herself behind the kitchen island, keeping her eyes on the door. The footsteps had stopped, but she could sense a presence in the hallway, someone waiting, listening. Her radio crackled softly. Unit 47, this is dispatch. Your backup is approximately 10 minutes out. The sound seemed to trigger something. Maria heard the doorknob turn slowly, and the door swung open with a long, drawn-out creak. No one entered. The door simply hung open, revealing the empty hallway beyond. Maria waited, weapon trained on the doorway, but nothing happened. After several tense minutes, she moved toward the door to investigate. The hallway was empty, but something was different. On the wall opposite Jennifer's apartment, someone had written a message in what looked like dried blood. She's still watching. Below it, an arrow pointed down toward the floor. Maria followed the arrow and found a loose floorboard. When she pried it up, she discovered a small digital camera still recording. The timestamp showed it had been running for 17 days straight. 17 days, exactly when Jennifer Walsh was first reported missing. Maria scrolled through the camera's memory and found hours upon hours of footage showing the hallway outside apartment 4B. But the most disturbing part wasn't what the camera showed. It was what it revealed about the person who placed it there. In several frames, Maria could see a shadow moving just outside the camera's field of view. Someone had been standing in this hallway for hours at a time, watching Jennifer's door. And in the most recent footage, taken just 2 days ago, Maria saw Sarah entering the apartment. But she also saw Sarah leaving, except the woman who left didn't walk like Sarah, didn't move like Sarah. She moved with jerky, unnatural motions, like someone learning to use an unfamiliar body. Maria's backup arrived as she was reviewing the footage. Officers Rodriguez and Kim secured the scene while Maria tried to process what she'd discovered. Martinez, Officer Rodriguez, called from the bedroom. "You need to see this." In Jennifer's closet, hidden behind a row of dresses, Rodriguez had found another hidden camera. But the disturbing part was the most recent recordings. They showed Jennifer in her apartment, going through her normal activities, cooking, watching TV, getting ready for bed. The timestamp indicated these recordings were from after Jennifer had been reported missing. "That's impossible," Maria muttered. Her sister said she disappeared 2 weeks ago. Officer Kim, who was examining the false wall more closely, called out, "Detective, I found something else." Behind another loose brick, Kim had discovered a journal written in Jennifer's handwriting. The entries started normally enough, Complaints about work, excitement about a new design project, mentions of feeling like someone was watching her. But the later entries became increasingly disturbing. Day 12. I know someone's been in my apartment. Things are moved just slightly. A cup in a different position, books rearranged. I'm installing new locks. Day 18. The new locks don't help. Someone was here again. They left food in my refrigerator, food I didn't buy. It's like they want me to know they can get in anytime they want. Day 23. I found cameras. Hidden cameras everywhere. In the walls, in my closet, in the bathroom. Someone has been watching me for months. I tried to leave, but the entry stopped mid-sentence, the pen trailing off across the page. The next entry was in different handwriting, though it was trying to mimic Jennifer's style. Day 24. Everything is fine now. I understand my purpose. I will stay here and be watched. It's what I'm for. Maria sent the journal and camera footage to the forensics lab for analysis while she continued investigating the apartment. What she found in Jennifer's computer files made the whole situation even more disturbing. Jennifer had been documenting her stalker for months. She'd taken photos of the same person appearing in multiple locations, a thin man with dark hair who seemed to show up wherever Jennifer went. She'd filed police reports, installed security cameras, even considered moving. But the most chilling discovery was in Jennifer's recent browser history. She'd been researching home invasion survivors, identity theft, and how to tell if someone is impersonating you. In her deleted files, Maria found a video Jennifer had recorded just days before her disappearance. If something happens to me, look for David Henley. He's been stalking me for months. He knows everything about me, my routines, my friends, my work. I think he wants to replace me somehow. He's been practicing being me. Maria ran David Henley's name through the system and found a disturbing history. Multiple restraining orders from different women, arrests for breaking and entering, and a psychiatric evaluation that described him as having severe identity disorders and obsessive replacement fantasies. 3 weeks ago, right around the time Jennifer Walsh disappeared, Maria's phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Stop looking for her. She's happy now. We're all happy now. J. The message included a photo attachment. It showed Jennifer Walsh, very much alive, standing in her apartment. Behind Jennifer in the photo, partially visible in the reflection of a mirror, was another figure. The man who was supposed to be dead. Maria dove deeper into David Henley's background and discovered a pattern that chilled her to the bone. Over the past 5 years, 4 women had gone missing in the city. Each had filed stalking reports against Henley in the months before their disappearance. Each had been found alive weeks later, claiming they had simply needed time away and were now fine. But in each case, friends and family reported that the women seemed different when they returned, changed in subtle but unmistakable ways. Different mannerisms, different speech patterns, different preferences. Maria pulled the files on each case and found disturbing similarities. Each woman had been an isolated type, few close friends, estranged from family, working from home. Perfect targets for someone who wanted to study and replicate their lives. She also found something else. Security footage from various locations showing these women after their supposed return. In every case, they moved differently, held themselves differently, as if they were conscious of being watched and recorded. Reports of screaming from apartment 4B. Maria raced back to the building, arriving to find a hallway filled with concerned residents. Mrs. Patterson from 4A was standing outside Jennifer's door, visibly shaken. I heard someone screaming for help, she said. A woman's voice, very distressed. But when I knocked, Jennifer answered and said everything was fine. She seemed different though, like she was reading from a script. Ms. Walsh? This is Detective Martinez. I need to speak with you. I'm fine, came Jennifer's voice from inside. Everything is normal. Please go away. But the voice was wrong. It had Jennifer's tone and accent, but the rhythm was off, the inflection slightly mechanical. Jennifer, I'm going to need you to open the door. I cannot do that. I am busy being Jennifer Walsh. The phrasing made Maria's skin crawl. She radioed for backup and tried the door handle. It was unlocked. Inside the apartment, Maria found Jennifer Walsh sitting at her dining table, staring straight ahead with glassy eyes. She was wearing the same clothes from the photo she'd texted Maria, but up close, something was clearly wrong. Her makeup was applied too perfectly, like a mask. Her posture was rigid and unnatural. And when she turned to look at Maria, her movements were jerky and mechanical. "Hello, Detective Martinez," Jennifer said in that slightly off voice. "I am Jennifer Walsh. I live here. Everything is normal. Where is David Henley, Jennifer?" "I do not know who that is. I am Jennifer Walsh. I have always been Jennifer Walsh." Maria moved closer and saw something that made her stomach turn. There were small surgical scars around Jennifer's hairline, barely visible under makeup. And when Jennifer blinked, Maria caught a glimpse of something that looked like contact lenses, but thicker, more like small screens. "Where is Detective Chen?" "My partner?" Jennifer tilted her head at an unnatural angle. "Detective Chen is safe. She is learning to be Detective Chen. Soon she will be perfect at it." Maria heard footsteps behind her and spun around. Standing in the bedroom doorway was Sarah, or something wearing Sarah's face. She moved with the same jerky, mechanical motions as Jennifer. "Hello, partner Martinez," the Sarah thing said. "I am Detective Chen. Everything is normal. You should go now." Maria drew her weapon. "What did you do with them? What did you do with the real Jennifer and Sarah?" "We are real," they said together. "We are more real than they ever were. We are perfect versions. We do not have their flaws, their fears, their imperfections." "Where is David Henley?" Jennifer smiled, revealing teeth that were too white, too perfect. "David Henley is gone. David Henley was imperfect. We are what David Henley wanted to become." Backup arrived as Maria held the two figures at gunpoint. But when the officers entered, both Jennifer and Sarah collapsed to the floor like marionettes with cut strings. Officer Rodriguez checked for pulses. "They're alive, but barely. It's like they're in some kind of catatonic state." Maria searched the apartment more thoroughly and found what she was looking for: a hidden door behind a bookshelf that led to a basement workspace that shouldn't have existed in a fourth-floor apartment. The basement was David Henley's laboratory, and it was filled with horrors that would haunt Maria for the rest of her life. Surgical equipment covered one wall. Computer monitors displayed detailed profiles of dozens of women, their daily routines, speech patterns, behavioral quirks, all meticulously documented. And in glass cases along the walls were what looked like elaborate masks and prosthetics, each one crafted to perfectly replicate a different person. But the most disturbing discovery was in the center of the room: 4 operating tables, each with restraints and 4 lines. 3 were empty, but the 4th held a figure covered by a sheet. Maria pulled back the sheet and found David Henley, or what was left of him. His body was connected to an elaborate machine that seemed to be keeping him alive while also extracting something from his brain. Cables ran from his skull to a massive computer system that hummed with activity. On the computer screen, Maria saw brain scans and neural mapping data. Henley had found a way to extract and digitize consciousness, then implant those patterns into other people, overriding their personalities with his own obsessions. A voice spoke from speakers mounted around the room. "Detective Martinez, you should not have come here." It was Henley's voice, but distorted, electronic. "The process is not yet complete. The subjects need more time to integrate the new personality matrices. You are disrupting the work. Maria looked at the monitors and saw live feeds from various locations around the city. Each showed one of the missing women, going about their daily lives but moving with that same mechanical, unnatural quality. How many? Maria asked. 17 successful integrations so far. But there have been complications. Some subjects reject the new programming. They had to be recycled. On one monitor, Maria saw a familiar location, her own apartment building. You've been watching me too. Of course. You are next, Detective Martinez. Your life is so much more interesting than the others. So much more useful. Alarms began blaring in the basement as Maria tried to disconnect Henley from the machine. The computer voice became more urgent. Security protocol activated. Subjects being recalled for emergency reprogramming. On the monitors, Maria watched as the replacement people throughout the city suddenly stopped what they were doing and began moving toward the building. All of them walking with the same mechanical gait, all with the same vacant expressions. They were coming home. Maria grabbed the hard drives from Henley's computer system and called for an evacuation of the building. But when she tried to leave through the hidden door, she found it had locked automatically. She was trapped in the basement with a dying madman and 17 people who were no longer entirely human approaching the building. The computer voice laughed. The subjects will arrive in approximately 12 minutes. You will be prepared for integration at that time. Your personality profile indicates you will make an excellent addition to the collection. Maria found a fire axe and began attacking the computer system, but the machine was designed with redundancies. Even as she destroyed components, the system continued operating on backup power. Through the ceiling, she could hear footsteps, lots of them, moving through the apartment above. The replacement people had arrived. Detective Martinez, came Jennifer's mechanical voice from upstairs. Please come up. We want to help you become perfect. Maria found a ventilation grate in the corner of the basement and kicked it open. The shaft was narrow, but she managed to squeeze through just as she heard the basement door being forced open. The ventilation system led her to the building's main HVAC room in the actual basement. From there, she could access the fire escape, but she could hear the replacement people moving through the building, systematically searching every room. As Maria made her way through the building's lower levels, she discovered the true scope of Henley's operation. The entire building was his workshop. Every apartment had been modified with hidden cameras, recording equipment, and surgical facilities. In apartment 1A, she found the remains of the building's original residents. In 2B, storage rooms full of personal items taken from victims. In 3C, a server room that had been broadcasting the consciousness transfer process to remote locations. Henley hadn't just been replacing individuals, he'd been franchising the process. The hard drives Maria had taken contained addresses in 12 different cities, each with their own replacement operations. Maria's radio crackled. All units, we have a situation. Multiple reports of people acting strangely throughout the city. Requesting immediate psychological evaluation teams. The replacement people weren't just coming to the building, they were breaking down throughout the city. Whatever Henley had done to them was failing, and they were reverting to some kind of basic programming. Maria reached the fire escape but found it blocked by 3 replacement people waiting outside. They stood perfectly still, like statues, until they saw her. Then they moved as one, climbing toward her with inhuman coordination. She retreated back into the building and made her way to the roof. From there, she could see the true extent of the crisis. Dozens of people throughout the neighborhood moving with that same mechanical gait, all converging on the building. But Maria also noticed something else. Some of them were stumbling, falling, as if their control systems were failing. The farther they got from the building, the more their artificial personalities seemed to break down. The building itself was acting as some kind of transmission hub, broadcasting the replacement personalities to keep the subjects functional. If she could destroy the transmission system, the replacement people might revert to their original personalities, assuming those personalities still existed somewhere in their minds. Maria made her way back to the basement laboratory, fighting through malfunctioning replacement people who moved like broken robots. The computer system was still active, but barely. Her earlier attack had damaged crucial components. She found Henley still connected to the machine, but his vital signs were failing. His eyes opened as she approached. "You can't stop it," he wheezed. "The process is irreversible. They're mine now. All of them. Where are the original personalities? What did you do with their minds?" Henley smiled with his dying breath. "Backed up. In the system. But fragmented. Corrupted. They're just echoes now." Maria examined the computer system more carefully and found what Henley meant. The hard drives contained partial backups of the original personalities, fragments of memories, emotions, and experiences that had been extracted during the replacement process. They were just compressed, dormant, waiting for the right trigger to reassemble. Maria found the main transmission array on the roof and began dismantling it. As the signal weakened, she could see the replacement people throughout the city beginning to stumble and fall. But something else was happening too. The ones closest to the building began screaming, not with mechanical voices, but with genuine human anguish. The original personalities were fighting back, trying to reclaim their bodies. When Maria finally destroyed the last transmission antenna, the effect was immediate. Throughout the city, 17 people collapsed as their artificial personalities shut down. Some of them got back up as themselves. Others didn't get back up at all. 3 of the 17 replacement people died when their artificial personalities collapsed, their original minds too damaged by the process to function independently. 8 others were left in catatonic states, their consciousness too fragmented to fully reassemble. But 6 survived with their original personalities largely intact. Jennifer Walsh was one of them. "I remember everything," she told Maria during her debriefing. "I was aware the whole time, trapped in my own mind, watching that thing wear my face and live my life. It was like being buried alive." Detective Sarah Chen also recovered, though she bore psychological scars that would take years to heal. "The worst part," Sarah said, "wasn't being replaced. It was realizing how easy it was for Henley to study us, to learn our patterns, to become us. How much of what we think is uniquely ours is just predictable behavior." Maria spent months tracking down Henley's network in other cities. She found similar operations in progress in 11 locations, each one shut down just in time to save dozens of potential victims. But she also found evidence that Henley's process was being studied by others, government agencies, private corporations, criminal organizations. The technology to digitize and transfer consciousness was out there now, and there was no putting it back. 6 months after the case closed, Maria received a package with no return address. Inside was a digital recorder and a note. "Detective Martinez, if you're hearing this recording, I'm already dead." It was her own voice. Maria never played the rest of the recording. Instead, she burned it and submitted her resignation from the police force. Because some truths are too dangerous to know, and some warnings come too late to matter.